Access 2007 Simple Forms. In this nugget, we are going to create a form that's tied to a table, so our end users can very easily add information into our database. In Access 2007, there's a very easy way to create a simple, basic form. We'll do that. Once our form is created, we'll take a look at it in Layout View and also Design View. Layout View is new to Access 2007, so we'll be sure to talk about why that can be a valuable addition to your tool set when you're working with Access databases. Then, of course, our forms are tied to tables, so we'll work with the data. We'll add a record, we'll delete a record. We can even sort and filter the data as it's displayed in our forms. Now, I mentioned that Access has objects, a table and a form is what I mentioned so far. Let's review what we have in Access 2007. Tables are what hold all of our data. Tables are not where we want our end users to be because there are records upon records, and it can be confusing to a user, and it can also be potentially dangerous for our database. Now, queries are how we extract just some of the data out of our tables instead of having to look at hundreds of thousands of records, maybe smaller in an Access database, tens of thousands of records. Then we can actually just look at a few based on criteria like the Northeast sales region. Reports, yes. Our end users use reports. This is what is going to display our data. And if we do a good job with our reports, we can even prompt our user for conditions, and then they'll only see the data that they want to see at that point in time on the report. But here, our goal is forms. Our end users are going to use forms to input the information. All of our end users, us included, are used to having easy to use and very functional forms. So the bar has been set pretty high for you to be able to create a form that's not going to confuse your user or actually frustrate them, since they've probably seen some pretty fantastic forms already out there on those e-commerce websites. Let's go ahead and jump into Access. I have already opened up the Zoo database, and we are looking at our memberships table. These are all of our fine Zoo members. I've opened up this table so that you have a point of reference when we're looking at data in our form. We have 29 records in our table, starting with Morris Jones, Marshall Fenner, James Dubois. These are all of our records. I can go to the last record. Melissa Frank. Notice I've had some deletions. That's why all of these membership IDs are not in order. Well, they're in order, but we're not looking at record number 29 because there have been some deletions in there. I can go back to the first record, and of course, this takes me next record by next record, and so on down the line. Let's create a form. Step 1, have the table, the data source selected. It doesn't have to be open here, but in the navigation bar, it has to be selected. Let's get the command. It's on the Create ribbon. So we'll click Create to see all the objects that we can create. Let's create a form. I'll click the Form button. How easy was that? We have 29 records, starting with Morris Jones. There's our Marshall Fenner record, and so on down the line. All of that information is neatly packaged in an easy-to-use form. I can press Tab on the keyboard, and it's taking me into labels and the associated data fields, control sources. We are, in fact, in a new view. This is Layout View within Access 2007. What is unique about Layout View? Well, I can't change the data. I'm trying to click on banks so that I can edit that. I right-click on it. I can't edit that. However, I do see the data, which I can't do in Design View. I see the data. I could edit the label if I wanted to. Instead of last name, I could call it surname. I just typed in last, though, because last name really is the most clear label for end users out there. So you can update labels in Layout View. You cannot update data. We have other items that we can do in Layout View, just a few. Not a ton of information or tools available to us. Of course, we're going to hit what these all mean as we progress through our forms nuggets. Our goal here is for you to know that Layout View will allow you to cosmetically change what your form looks like, but will not allow you to update data. That's what Form View is for. Form View allows me to update these records. Instead of Marshall Fenner, this could be Mark Fenner. I can update that. I cannot, however, update the labels. I'm double clicking on these trying to be able to edit the information. When I right click, nope, I can't update these labels. So Form View is for working with data. That's what your end users will be in when you throw that whole application together. Layout View, simple cosmetic updates. These are the basic tools you have available. Layout View is new. Design View. This has been around since Access 2007 was born. You have to still know how to use Design View. This is, in essence, how you create spectacular forms. This is where you put in your calculations. This is where you make major changes to the performance of your form. Design View, utterly important. And look, we have a Design tab. Look at all these controls, all of these tools that we have available to us. That's the Design tab, and this is the Arrange tab. Some of these we have in our Layout View as well, but that's because they are kind of simple design changes, whereas the whole strong tools for adding combo boxes and for associating certain controls together as radio buttons, you have to be in Design View for that. And of course, we'll get into the how-tos as we progress through these nuggets. So for now, how do you tell you're in Design View? If you're just with a glance, if someone says, hey, what view are you in? Right away, how do you know? We're in Design View because we see repeat labels, first name. We don't see data. We see the name of the field in the base table. If we were to open up our memberships table in Design View, we'd see first name, street address, city, no spaces in here. That's how you know you're in Design View, because it's tied to the base table. Also at Design View, you can see all these little dots. That's an indication also, and you have form header and detail. Of course, though, you know, Microsoft products, you can take away those dots. You can choose not to display the form headers, all that information. So know that Design View is going to show you the actual name of the field that your form is based off of. So let's create another form, another simple form. I'll close my memberships form. Do you want to save changes? No, I don't. And notice we don't have any forms at all created yet. I still have my memberships table open. It's not necessary that it's open, but I'll leave it open. I'll click my Create tab to display the ribbon, and I have a couple other quickie forms. A split form. This is new as well. What I've done now is I've split my form in between looking at it in a columnar format, one record at a time, and the data sheet format, seeing a number of the records at the same time. If I were to click Next, notice how I'm on record 3 here, and I'm on record 3 here. So it's showing me the exact same data, just splitting it between those two different layouts. And right now, I am in Layout View. I could go to Form View, and I could update Meg Grassy to Margaret Grassy. Whoops. All right, and as soon as I clicked out of that field, we saw that first name was updated. So this really is tied to that data. And let's see, that's membership ID number 8, right? If I go to membership ID number 8 in the base table, Margaret Grassy has been updated there as well. So that just is an indicator that our forms are tied directly to those tables. Of course, that was an immediate update because everything here is on my C drive, lumped together. When you have a full-blown application and your tables are on a network share, it might take a little bit longer for the forms to update that information, but it still is pretty quick. This is a split form. I'm going to click the X. Do I want to save changes to the design of memberships? Yeah, sure. What do I want to call this? I will call this memberships split, just for the fun of it. Okay. So now I do have a form, memberships form. I could double click that, of course, and now it's opened. All right, that's just the behavior of Access. Let's create one more form, still based off of memberships. Create ribbon. Now let's choose multiple items. Now I'm seeing all the information at once. I've got all the records displayed at once. And when we get into Design View more into details, I'll show you how you can make this smaller so it's not taking up quite so much space. We're still in Layout View. If I go back to Form View, now I can update this information. So instead of James Dubois, we've got Jim Dubois. So we can edit. Just wanted to prove to you that we can edit information in here. We can, of course, search as well. Miller, there we go. This is a junk record. It's a good idea that we went to see our Miller record so that we could actually fill it in with valuable data, but we're not going to do that right now. All right. Fantastic. These are the basic types of forms that you can create simply, easily, with a click of a button. You choose the data source, you choose the type of form you're going to create. As we progress through these nuggets, we're not going to do it right now, but in our next nugget, we are going to create a form based on the wizard, and we're also going to go into Design View. These are more advanced because we're going to talk about how you can add fields, delete fields, and really work with the structure of the design in Design View. But right now, I want you to feel comfortable with the interface and what the differences are between the views and what these simple forms are. Let's close this. No, I don't want to save it. Let's create one more basic form here, and we'll work now with data. We're going to add information, we're going to delete information, we're going to sort, and we're going to filter, because your end users are probably going to be working with data, not only adding information, but there is going to come a time when they have to delete records, and probably some of them will have to gather information, so it'll be nice if they can do a filter. I'm going to go ahead and save this form. It's called memberships. We'll leave it called that. I'm going to give you a tip later. So memberships. Now let's go into Form View. And I've got Morris Jones. I'd like to add a new record. I can click this button down here, New Blank Record. Last name. All right, so let's do Deloach. First name is going to be Debbie. Street address, 12 East Main Street, Phoenix, Arizona is a default value in our base table. That's why AZ is there already. It's good enough for me. I'll click Tab. Zip code 85268. I'll press Tab on my keyboard. It takes me over here to the phone field, 480-555. And look at that. There's an input mask already. Base table is fantastic. It dictates how our fields, our forms are going to behave. I'll press Tab. Membership fee. You know what? She doesn't have a membership fee. I'll type 0 and press Tab. Look at that. Our validation rule held true, held firm from our base table. Value must be greater than 0. Ah, that's our validation text. Okay, well, I better charge her with something. Okay. Registration date, that's fine. Credit card, I could start typing in the credit card field. I do have an input mask, but I don't want to do that. I'm going to press Tab here. And what's her membership level? Is it silver, gold, or platinum? Well, she paid $75, so we'll tell her, hey, you know, silver, you could still give us more money and rise up to that coveted platinum level. Silver's not bad, though. And is Debbie a volunteer? Sure, she's a volunteer. That's it. We have now added in record 30 of 30. Let's go to our memberships table, and let's go to the bottom. Do we see her in there yet? Do we have Debbie Deloach in there? We do not have her updated yet. So we could go and leave that record. I'm just clicking to leave that record. And do we have her in there yet? No, we do not have her in there yet. So we have a couple choices. One is to refresh the table. Oops. And then go down to the bottom and she's in there. Or, of course, had our table not been opened at the time, when I opened it, she would be in there. The key is a record is updated totally once you leave the record that you're currently on. You add a new record once you leave that record. It's sent, it's updated into the table, but you might not see it in the table if your table's open at the same time. That's how you add a record. Let's take a look here. Okay, so Sean McAllister, he is ID number 6. We're going to delete him. I know he's record number 6, so I can type 6 in right here and hit enter. And there's Sean McAllister. I could have done a search for McAllister or Sean or membership ID number 6 if I wanted to as well, or I could have just clicked next, next, next. Sean McAllister, he has been a fantastic member. Look, he registered a couple years ago. I'm sorry, Sean, we're going to have to delete your record there. This is just the record selector bar. My records command here, I can choose delete. Notice delete would just delete a value in whatever I have selected. Since I have my record selected, delete would delete that as well, but I'm going to choose delete record just to be absolutely sure. Hey, you're about to delete one record. Danger, danger, danger is what this is telling us. If I click yes, I can't undo that. We are so used to being able to undo information within our Microsoft products, but no, when you delete data from a table, it is gone. You don't click save and then it's gone. You delete it, it is gone. The only way to recover it is to recover it from backup. Backup is the only way. Or you could recreate that record. But if we were to recreate membership ID 7, Sean McAllister, we would not be able to do so. We could recreate our Sean McAllister record, but he would get a different membership ID because the nature of our tables are that our membership IDs, our primary keys, are unique and we cannot reuse them. 7 has been used, it can never be used again in this table. So be very, very sure if you're going to delete a record. Guess what? We're sure. We're playing around here. Sean McAllister, we will see you later. All right, so we're now looking at record number 8, 9, 8, 5, membership ID, 6 is gone. Let's go back to the table and verify. I like this. It says, you know what? You have a deleted record here. It is in between 5 and 8. It is gone. You no longer have that in your table. We could refresh. We could refresh all, and now we don't have that deleted there anymore. If we were to close the table and reopen, we wouldn't have that there anymore, but it's very, very nice for you to see. Oops, I made a mistake there, perhaps. So I like that feature as well. We are not done working with data yet. We're back here in this form, and the way that your data launches into your form is in the order that it was added into the table. Look at that. We don't have any rhyme or reason to last names, first names. There's no sense of order except for when it was entered. So I can sort if I'd like to by last name. I right-clicked on the last name field. I could choose sort A to Z, and now it's in ascending order. Look at that, last names. All right, and we can tell by looking up here also that we have chosen ascending order. I could choose descending order, and now as I go through the list, last name, descending order. If I'd like to remove the sort, I click that button. Now it's back to the way that data was added into the database. Now let's say I'd like to only see the people who paid $75. I can filter. Again, a right click or using the home ribbon for this. So right clicking on membership fees allows me to choose all records that have $75 in this field. I have 10 of them. Each one of these records is a $75 record. I can look up at the ribbon and see that I do have a filter applied. So I can click that button, or I can right click and choose to clear filter from membership fee. Now I'm back to 29 records. What if I would like to get more in depth here? Maybe I'd like to find all of the, actually now, because I cleared the filter, it selects the first field again. I still want to work with my membership fee field. So I click that. Now I could again choose equals $75. I want to see everything but $75. Less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. Between could be handy in a different data field. For us, we only have 3 values in that field. However, if you're looking up home prices and you wanted to see all the values between $200,000 and $350,000, you could type in smallest and largest there and see only those results. So we do have very much flexibility with our sorting and filtering. That is what this button is. Now we have filter by form as well. If we choose filter by form, this is where we can get into our and or criteria. It shows us the form, and we can choose to add in multiple values. We have look for. I would like to see all of the $75 memberships that are in, I need to scroll over here, that are in the city of Phoenix. So this is an and criteria. It must be Phoenix and $75. If I click this, that will run the filter. All right, look at that. Here they are. Notice they're all Phoenix. They're all $75. There are 6 records that fall under this criteria. 6 records. Okay, that's cool. Let's go ahead and go back to filter by form, and it holds our criteria, which is nice because we could add to that. Let's take a look at the OR criteria. I want to see all the Phoenix people who are paying $75, or I'd like to see all the volunteers. This isn't necessarily going to give us the same information. That's a kind of a weird type of query criteria, but this is to prove a point to you. All right, so I'm going to find everybody who's Phoenix, $75, or a volunteer. This tab just appeared. I have nothing there. I only have this criteria. Let's run this again. Now, of course, we've got Phoenix, $75. Melissa just happens to be a volunteer as well. I have 7 records now instead of 6. As I flip through here, I'm going to see on my Phoenix, $75. Some of them are volunteers, some are not. But here's the difference. We have one that's $100 because Mark Fenner happens to be a volunteer as well. So he does not meet the Phoenix and $75 criteria, but he does meet the volunteer criteria. So that's how we have that 7th record in there instead of 6 records as well. Let's remove this filter and take a look at one more item. All right, we're back to all 29 records. I'm going to select the city of Phoenix, and I'm going to choose this large filter button here. A lot of tools exist. This is new to Access 2007. We can sort. We can choose to clear the filter from this field. We can access these text filters like we had before. This is the new easy-to-use item. We can just remove checkboxes from values that we do not want to include in the results that are displayed. So that's nice. You can just toggle them on or all off. If you want to do database maintenance, you could select blanks, and then all the records that have no city will be displayed, and then you can fill better values in there. We have been good DBAs, though, and we don't have any blank cities. So we could just choose to see Kansas City. Okay, hey, believe it or not, we have 2 Kansas City records out of our large result set of 29, our large table of 29. I can remove the filter, as simple as that, and I'm back to seeing all my records. So this is one of these items working with sorting and filtering that you might want to explore. The good news is it works the same here when we're dealing with our forms as it does when we're dealing with our tables. We have covered quite a bit here in this Simple Forms nugget. We created a few different types of forms with a click of a button. We took a look at Layout View, which is new here in the 2007 Access product. It allows us to make very minor cosmetic changes, and we're able to view the data at the same time that we are making format changes. Design View has been around since the beginning of Access, and this is where we go to make those very fine-tuned design choices. And no doubt about it, your users will be inputting data, deleting records, editing, and also filtering and sorting. So we took a look at all the various tools that exist. I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing.